All right, everybody. Good night to you. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Whenever it is you tune in. Hope everything's going well for you. I am Noah, the person that started this channel in the stream. And to my stage right, we have.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Uh, Peace and blessings. This is Jarvis Williams with my boy Noah. Ready to talk some Falcons football.
And then don't worry, we have Trey behind the scenes as he's finishing a steak, which I'm actually kind of jealous of now. But all right. as we wait alongside for people to come in here, just know that we got some topics for you. We got number one, Ritter has arrived. Number two, what could we do to finish out the season? And then I think we have to bring this up. We saw history, folks, today earlier, guys. So yeah, this is all going to be talked about. So,
And it wasn't good history.
yeah, depending on the side of the fence you swing on.
Roger.
How's it going, Nathan?
What's going on, Nathan? How you doing?
Anybody else that tunes in, welcome, welcome. All right, so let's get this started because we only have not even 12 hours until this game happens, where we can have all of our questions happen. Yeah, we got Michael showing up here too. How's it going? All right, so the question is, Ritter has arrived. What next? Like, it's really all there is to it. Like, what next?
Well, um, for my foxhole, what's next is I think the young man is going to go through his ups and downs. Um, but from what I see and how he carry himself via camp, via videos or interviews, I think the young man has a promising future in Atlanta. Um, I can actually see the young man going about 3-1 in the next 4 games.
All right, starting it off, not even 3 minutes into it with a hot take. Like it. And then on the other hand, we have stuff like Ritter H. Christ, Salvation is next.
uh,
I
I
gotta
don't
say, this is not even the first occurrence that I've seen this week of people trying to make scriptural passages by the AI to have Desmond Ritter win the Falcons the Super Bowl this year.
uh,
Like, I've even seen people try to name their kidney stones after this man. I I'm not making any of this stuff up.
oh man.
Like, it is so out of hand that it just makes seem it just like, man, y'all are crazy.
Yeah, yeah, they jumping out the window with the whole Christ and salvation thing. Boy, woo, woo.
Again, it's not the first and it won't be the last. I don't even think it matters about the outcome of the game. We got Nathan that says anxious for the game, ready to see what he has and how his leadership shows on the field. And I think that's the first step to connecting all the other pieces right now. All right, so again, just pump the brakes a little bit, people. Like, really, like Riddle Thanos. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
this is gonna be an all night thing, isn't it? All right, well, we're here for it. So I think that okay. So just to recap, it's been about 3 weeks since I've had another stream, and it was me and Ripcliffe, and we went on for about over 2.5 hours about this whole discussion between him and Mariota. Which, by the way, I think y'all need to apologize to that man
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, because everything that I've seen so far, I just wanted to wait it out, right? Because we kept hearing reports ever since Monday when it was like officially released that Desmond was the quarterback one.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, it was there was a timeline of events there that happened for Marcus, right? So we had uh, He was then benched. He was then put on IR. So he was out for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also had his child on the way, which I don't mean to bring this up, but you got to remember, he's a Hawaiian father. You cannot separate that. You cannot separate them families like that, man.
Yes.
Not that culture. So I say respect that and just leave that alone. He can't show up to the team anyways. And Desmond himself has made it clear. All right. Desmond Thanos, Desmond Christ, whatever you want to call him. He himself has said, like, hey, Marcus is still reaching out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus is still ready to give me pointers, and he's still willing to help me out here, even if he has to step away from the team for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if it's for a moment, by the way. We just know that he's not in the facility, he's not in the rooms. But look, I don't think anyone even cared about him anyways. So why is this such a problem? Like, yeah, you finally wanted to get rid of this man, like 13 weeks officially.
Mm-hmm.
And had the bye week been sooner, probably, it would have been even quicker than that. But the other side of this coin, right? We get the rookie that hasn't played a snap. And yes, he's been highly anticipated. We get that we had him in the third round of the draft, which still feels like a steal, even though we haven't seen him play. There is some concern.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot, but there is some, right? We've seen, and I just talked about this before the show happened, like we've seen other quarterbacks this year that were backups, some of them even rookies, that had to step in an emergency like state, sort of how we are. And they won football games.
I.e. Baker Mayfield.
I.e. Brock Purdy.
Yeah. And
I.e.
blowouts.
Mike White.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a few examples around the league, but I just want you to know. Well, first off, before I ask this question, yeah, Baker Mayfield was just so wild of a story. But I think that it only helped because it was the Raiders, right? Like,
oh man, the Raiders.
But the other teams, right? Like they were more set up to have just a normal quarterback there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a normal quarterback, then guess what? The team is going to carry any sort of deficiencies that you may bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, we saw that with the Jets. The Jets, they have a really good foundation on both sides of the ball. That had nothing to do with the quarterback, who, by the way, the original quarterback that's there, I don't even want to say his name. The original quarterback that was there, he wasn't cutting it either. Like, he was so not cutting it. Like, you thought Mariota was bad. Goodness gracious, take a look at his stats.
And who was his quarterback again? I'm sorry, I missed who quarterback it was.
Zach Wilson.
Oh, Zach. Oh, yes, of course. You know, we're not men of judging other people, right? But they're so crazy because I think Zach has had 2 years to show for something, and this is the second time Mike White has had to come in and just put the team on his back to be productive. That doesn't bode well.
Yeah. And we may say that, yeah, Wilson may be starting tomorrow. That's only because Mike White was near dead on the field. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, I need to check bank statements from Zach Wilson's side of the spectrum, because there's no way that you had Mike White take that one nasty hit, step out for 2 plays, come back into that game, and have another nasty hit later on in the game.
Well, they was targeting him.
Like, this is like how the what was that one instance where the Bills, like Bills Mafia, had donated to Andy Dalton's cause because of that one play that's from the Bengals that sent the Bills to the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
that year.
I remember that.
I can almost see something like that. They just start, yeah, cool. Let's just support this guy over here, or actually, kind of vice versa. It's like, yeah, like, you know, Zach Wilson sounds like, hey, I want to start again, and I'm going to do whatever is necessary in order to make that happen. But
Well, hopefully he can hang on to it this time.
I don't know what you
Freddie,
got to say, Grant.
What's going on, guys?
oh no,
Oh, speaking of that Mike White thing, I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Wilson had a little payroll with Matt Milano. You never know.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying.
Oh,
Got a question. Oh, wait, here, we got a statement here. Nathan Foy says Chuck Smith went off on him on the 92.9 the game, said the players and coaches are ticked off as his actions. Don't blame him.
I mean, after that interview, I don't know what player, what on that 52-man roster isn't mad at him, or at least the 47 that start on game day. I mean, you put up how many? You put up 3 points and had negative 22 yard passing yards, not rush passing yards, in an entire half. And you said just no, like
They
I
had
didn't tell them.
more punts than he had completions.
And also had more what was it, sack yardage? I think that they had nearly pass yardage. That was embarrassing. And then the next week, your backup quarterback goes on to blow out the Bears.
mm,
Guess you see what that locker room likes.
mm, mm,
So we got another question here from Michael. I think it's a question. I don't know if he meant to put a question mark or an exclamation. It's like, but I'm going to phrase it as a question. Will Mariota be a cap casualty this offseason? What are your thoughts, Trey?
Probably. I'd say probably. I mean, you're not paying a backup quarterback $12 million to hold a clipboard or do what Desmond was doing to have a walkie-talkie on the back on his back. I think we'll end up either. I mean, if they like the backup, if they like Woodside, right now, I think he'll probably come back on like a cheap 1-2 year deal to be the backup. Since, like you said, I'm starting to get the fact that Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot like this familiar thing with their players and all of that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just says screw it and just keeps the backup instead of trying to find a whole new guy. But I would be surprised if Marcus Mariota's on this roster by, I'd really say, training camp, to be honest.
No, because they don't want to pay him that cap casualty, that money, with a guarantee. What is it? The monies that he's still in his contract. They'll probably try to get rid of him before the payouts for that in March.
Basically, he'd be one of those March cuts. Yeah, basically, he'd be one of those March cuts. And then that's kind of the way they set up his contract, was that they'd save the most money next year, just in case they had to cut him. And it was just another smart move by Terry Fontenot. I mean, we brought him in here to manipulate contracts, and that's basically what he's been doing the past 2 years with a lot of these guys' contracts. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't even notice the stuff he put in Jake Matthews and Grady Jarrett stuff that, like, if they need to be traded or cut, they won't take the biggest hit, like they were if they traded or cut it, both of them or one of them, like it was this year. It's like we have to you kind of have to pay attention to those things because they do a lot of those things for a reason. They're kind of, like you said, you kind of have to plan for the future at the same time, because a lot of these guys like Marcus are in their higher 20s, maybe 30s, like Jake Matthews. But is Jake Matthews 29 or 30? I keep forgetting.
No, he's 31.
Yeah, 31. So, like I said, you never know what's going on with a lot of these guys, or what could happen in the future. So you kind of have to set it up for, like, we'll pay you most of your money around those years where you're still in your prime, but and just in case you start to slow down a little bit when you're 34, 35 years old is when it's kind of that time to either get traded or cut.
Yeah, just to backtrack a little bit for those looking back, Nathan Foe was actually talking about Mariota when he mentioned about the Chuck Smith going off of him. Which makes more sense. Like, why would Chuck Smith talk about Zach Wilson?
Yeah. Because when you was talking, I was like, okay, we talking about Mariota, we talking about Wilson. So I was trying to catch up myself, and then I found out when you say, oh, they come out and beat Chicago. I was like, oh, that's the Jets. But I didn't hear the whole Chuck Smith situation on 92.9 when he went off on. I didn't hear I didn't hear that part when he went off on him. I can tell you that Coach Arthur Smith didn't look too happy at the podium talking about the situation as far as it was never nothing that was going on that we that was that was a cause of concern during the
bothering him.
so what was going on. Like I said, I'm not here to judge the man. I don't know what's going on. You brought up a good point. He does have a daughter that came into this world in the Hawaiian culture. They are very tight knit, family oriented. They will do whatever they can to make sure that their family taken care of. So I just say let the man be the man make. I feel like the man make the best decision that fits him. Yes, every person or fan or whatever, not say every person, but most fans and so forth, they want you to be a team first guy, right? But
Right.
not everybody's gonna want to be that team first person. I mean, regardless of how you feel about their decision, some players feel like they make the best decision for them, regardless of how you feel about them.
Yeah, it's I was kind of surprised on the knee thing because I kind of watched the last couple of games. I was like, was there anything that kind of like made him look a little like gimpy when he
Maybe his
runs or
stance was
something?
off or
Yeah, his
different.
stance was off or something. Yeah, I couldn't. I didn't really notice anything that was like out of the blue. That was like that's like why is he walking like that or why is he running like that? But I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's like
like
there was
Trevor
no
said,
hit that he took. There was.
yeah. I mean, he's barely
Then
taken any
again,
like big hits the past couple of
yeah.
weeks. I think he's been
Then
very well
again, we've
protected.
seen some instances where it's like knee injuries, especially they don't have to be contact.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray is the biggest like um profile right now. I mean, that was I don't even know how that happened because I torn both of my ACLs, but both of those were like contact tears. Him right there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he basically just I don't know if he cut the wrong way or if his leg got stuck I mean, like I said, when you play on turf, you really have to be careful with some of the cuts you take. That's why a lot of players these days don't really do too much and like they just slide or go out of bounds or just kind of protect themselves. Because with turf, man, it's like the I hate playing on turf because one, it burns your feet if you're playing in like the daytime. That is so very very painful and annoying. Two, it's like it feels like you're playing on hard carpet, and it's like very annoying to play with. I mean, to play on, and you have to be careful because you don't know like maybe like how like I said, like your leg may get stuck. It may hyperextend out of nowhere. I don't know. It's just I hope they bring back grass like they used to have back in the 2000s. But it's just turf. Like I said, turf is very hard to play on.
Yeah, that was the Kyler Murray injury that happened in Arizona, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I do remember like watching a video about how Arizona, like that stadium, will swap out the turf or whatever, or like they will like either have it out in the sun, and I think it's grass. Otherwise, why would you put turf out in the grass or like out in the sun in order for
Because then it'll
improved
literally
conditions?
like turf could if turf gets too hot, it could literally start a fire. I think it's that flammable. Like if it gets too hot, it could literally like start a mini fire or something.
Yeah.
But
So yeah,
like the Jets and the Giants, like their stadium, I heard is getting put in grass in 2023 or four, one of those two. So hopefully, we get a lot more grass stadiums like the Ravens and all of those because one is just more fun to play on, especially in the rain. It's like if you've ever played football in the rain, you know how that feels, especially on
mm,
grass. But like, yeah, man, I pray that they change it back to grass. But I got a question for both of y'all though.
okay.
So with Desmond Ritter starting in my opinion, the most hostile place other than Seattle and maybe Kansas City.
I
What are
think they're
y'all
about on
expect?
par, but
Yeah, what are y'all expectations for Desmond Ritter and the offense? But for most likely the offensive line, but just the offense in general.
You can go ahead
You
first.
want
No.
to go? Okay. Well, if you want to mention the offensive line first, we're gonna get Elijah Wilkinson back, so that's
Thank
good
God.
news.
Woo, thank God.
He's gonna have his entire complete set of offensive line that I think, originally had in like week 1 or something.
Yeah.
So every guy that was intended to be there is there. So in theory, we wouldn't have to worry about the offensive line as much. Now, the center position,
It's still one that concerns. It just concerns me so much. It's like it, like even the practice clip that they showed, he literally had to pick the ball up from his ankles, and he's not even getting rushed by anybody. It's like
I,
I thought, like when Mike and us talked about this, we was like maybe it's because he's getting rushed by like a whole bunch of people or getting blitzed. But I'm like, dude, are you seriously doing this in practice? Jesus.
I, it almost makes me want to try out the long snapper there.
Yeah. I maybe he may get blown up a lot, but Jesus, at least I know he can put a ball. If he can snap a ball 20 yards back straight into a person's hands, I think he can do it well enough from about 3 or 4.
Yeah, because they have their own way of like holding the football and making sure that it spirals. Whereas like normal centers, they just kind of like flick it off the ground.
Just pick it up and get you like. I know if he does that a lot, like he'll just pick it up and get in place. I kind of don't like that. I like a lot of the top centers. They actually get it like used to what the quarterback likes and what they like. He just
Right.
picks it up, puts it in place, and there you go. I don't know.
So it makes me wonder, and I think we've seen some examples of this in the preseason too. I think we may see more under center plays
Yeah.
this game, at least just as a starting point. I don't know if it's moving forward, but I think we're going to see a lot more under center plays just so that he can still get used to
Snapping
snapping, and that doesn't become an issue for him
in the future.
as far as like losing his trust or losing his own confidence. Just making sure that like, hey, I need everything in front of me at the very, very beginning of the play to go right for me at the very least to just see what I can do. So
Yeah. I don't know. I think a reason we did a lot of pistol and shotgun was because that's what Marcus Mariota did very well. Which is kind of another thing. I'm just like I'm not even gonna take too long, but on this, but it's like a lot of people said we set up Mariota for failure. We literally did the 2 most formations he's done since he was in Oregon. I don't know how you set a person up for failure when you do the things that he's best at, but I'm not gonna say idiots. I'm gonna let less smart people be less smart people. But I think with Desmond Ritter, like me and you talked about this, Noah. He did a lot of under center and shotgun back in Cincinnati, probably because he's in a pro style offense. But
mhm.
I feel like you do a lot of better play action in under center because it makes that linebacker think for an extra second or that defensive end think for an extra second, and that extra second can literally give you the momentum or the thing that you need for that play. And I think the problem with Marcus was when he does the play action in the pistol, it's kind of like, well, I got that extra second to think right there, or just to stay right there because in the pistol, you can't really move that far back if you're the quarterback and you've already dropped back basically. So I don't know. I
Right.
think you'll see a lot more under center tomorrow. It's kind of another reason I'm excited for it because I miss the under center and just play action dropbacks that Matt Ryan had, where he would throw darts. It was. I miss those plays so
Especially
much. He did
just those digs just over the
yeah.
linebackers.
Oh, I miss him
Like
so much.
there is like a difference in the timing of those routes in comparison from under center to shotgun, because you think
Shotgun,
about
you
how long it
basically
would
already got
take
there.
to get from under center to fake the handoff and then go back in your stance, right? And then compare that to just like catch it and then right, like more time needs to pass for those linebackers to get out of position. So sometimes, like in a shotgun formation, the linebacker can just kind of stand there and just watch the movements of the hands if they have that straight line of vision.
Yeah.
And then from there, they can make a decision to either step up or forward. But if you're running back to the running back and just like handing that off, like they have to respond to that. So
either
it's
like a
going to
step up
create
or drop back.
going to create any form of movement that you can then put to your advantage. So I think, again, like you said, like we can see a lot more of that. That's what Matt Ryan was good at. That's what our offense has been taught to do well. And our run game is especially set up for that to work as good as it can.
Got the running backs for it. I mean, like 2021, a lot of Cordell's snaps weren't even out of shotgun. They were in that single back position to where he can like see his lane already. When you're in that pistol or that shotgun, it's literally like you're giving him one way because you're giving away where you're going with the shift. So you're not gonna go to the right, but put your lead blocking fullback on the left side of you. You can do that, but it's gonna be a lot harder to get the blocks off. So when you're doing like a pistol formation, and you put a guy like Parker Hesse or Keith Smith back there, you can't just put them on the side that you're not going to go to. It like that, and that's why it gives a lot of the runs that you want to do, and that's kind of why I like single back as a good formation a little bit better than shotgun because it gives you a lot more things to do and a lot more. It confuses the defense just like by a tick, and that tick can give you a first down. It's the difference between like a first down or a touchdown.
Hmm. And I think no other offense, maybe Miami, but no other offense utilizes the fullback like we do.
Oh no, not at all. Oh well, no. I'll say San Fran.
Yeah, them too. They're cut from the
But
same cloth. So,
but they do have the best fullback in the league, so I don't know why they wouldn't. But
one of the most versatile, at least.
yeah.
Uh, so we got Vlad joining us here. How's it going? I mean, if you want, you can still hop on the show. If you can't do that, that's fine. We got Michael here. That's over or under Ritter throws for 1,000 yards in the remaining 4 games. So
I'll
this
take under.
will help us about. I think this is a question about the passing attempts that could be done.
For me, I think.
So are we going to throw more? Because I remember KSI was saying that, hey, I think recently the offense has been leaning more towards the pass.
That's what Arthur wants. See, the thing is, when you're running the ball so much and so well, what a lot of teams are doing, like I don't know if Jarvis would agree with this or both of y'all, but I don't know if y'all noticed this, but like the Bears, the Steelers, who did we play before? The Panthers, the
Commanders.
Chargers, yeah, and the Commanders. The guys are not even dropping 2 safeties back. They're like literally just stacking 7 to 8. Most of the time, it's 8 guys in the box, and they're just telling you to pass the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, and you're like, well, I know my quarterback is not the best passer. He's one of the worst in the league. How am I gonna go get big plays in the run game if we're only getting like 3 to 4? I mean, 3 to 4 yards are good, but like before the start of the season, teams didn't really think we were going to run the ball like that until we proved we could run the ball like that. Like we're a physical team.
And then we were getting like 6 or 7.
Yeah, and it's like, well, if they're going to run the ball but they can't pass, why am I even going nickel or dime or quarter, like prevent, like quarter defense? Like, why don't I just stay in these 3-4, stack 8 guys, drop the free safety or strong safety
Heck,
down,
throw
and
one
just go
corner
from
out
there?
there.
Yeah, just put one corner out there, put the rest. Then that's kind of like why Desmond Ritter was put in there, because one, you want like you're I haven't seen one team that's run dominant that cannot pass the ball move in the playoffs. That's the problem. That was the problem with the Tennessee Titans. They could do it in the regular season, but when you put Ryan Tannehill in a pressure situation where he needs to pass the ball, he can't do it.
That was
I mean, he had the weapons. Let's not be honest. He had the weapons. I
that
mean,
was.
Dave,
Mhm.
you go, Jarvis.
I'm sorry. That I thought you had finished. I apologize. So my one of the things was that's what happened with DVD. Remember Dunn, Vic, and Duckett. If you open up to remember, they were so run dominant that Michael Vick will have probably 2,500 yard passing all season, but they each will have about over 800 yards rushing. And then when it comes to playoff time, teams like the Eagles back in 2000, I want to say 4, the first time we
Mhm.
playoffs in a very long time, it was like, oh, we gonna stack the box and beat us in Philadelphia. And it's like, yeah, it's like you make a good point, Trey, when you was like, hey man, it's like Tennessee is real good throughout the season running the ball. Derrick Henry run the ball down your throat, throw people to the sideline and so forth. But when you get into a playoff situation, people scheme a little different. The game plan is a little different. They were like, okay, if we just hold on to the ball long enough and not get the ball to them where they can run the clock down, we can beat them because it's gonna take them more time to run the ball down the field. So we put up points every time we get into the red zone, which is field goal, not touchdowns, and they run the ball all game, but they can only get field goals. Oh, we got this. So you have what I'm looking for in this. I know y'all was talking about, we was going back and forth of how do we see what Des Ritter can do. I'm looking for competence. That's the biggest thing. I'm not looking for anything extra. I'm looking for competence. I'm looking for confidence on the field, and I'm looking to see how he handles um
The huddle.
the lights, the big when the lights come on. How does he play? That's all I want to see. People say, oh well, what if he starts playing like Mariota and start putting up the same numbers as Mariota? Okay,
Well,
he's a rookie quarterback.
yeah. See, the reason I was so mad at Mariota putting up 170 yards per game was I'm like, dude, you average more than that in your worst season at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you had better weapons. You did not. Okay, maybe you had AJ Brown, but dude, you had Drake London. You got a Days of Kids. You got a maybe a better run game than you had back then, as far as that, like that 2018 season
Mm-hmm.
or 17 season. You have Kyle Pitts. You have Olamide. Cordell Hodge was kind of. I mean, you kind of seen the slip in the wide receiver production. You have
Drake
a,
London.
yeah, Drake London. You have a raw receiver has more yards by themselves than they have with you than your whole entire wide receiving core all together. That's like, you don't want to be in that category. If one wide receiver himself has more total yardage than you do all season, that's not the best thing to kind of have as a stat. If you're like looking on
Yeah. Um, I think at first, I mentioned this in, I want to say it was K Styles' post on the community tab, but I gave up my prediction of the stat line for what Ritter could have in the first game. And I think that this is only this way because of the game situation, but also what Arthur would be willing to do with him right away. And I get that he's been saying that he hasn't been pampered, he hasn't been babied in this entire process, and that he feels as ready as possible in order to step up and take the role of the quarterback one. And I'm left with no choice but to believe that and respect that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think that they both, like him and Arthur, need to both work on their situational football game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's what Arthur had mentioned in one of his press conferences. And I think that's more trying to see like how long of a leash is he going to give Desmond. So for me, in the first game, I think we're going to be testing the waters a little bit. I think that we could still kind of focus on the run game still. But I don't know if he gets more than 20 passing attempts this game. That's not to say that he won't do well, but it's just I think that those can be very planned
Mm-hmm.
depending on the situation. Like, hey, maybe there were like 19 passing attempts, but like most of them were on third downs. Like most of them were on prove it plays where we need to make this throw. Can you make it for us? Thank you. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could be at the early on of the game and just kind of like start off in this way and then open up the defense the way that we've been wanting. Because, as you guys were saying, it's like the run game feels kind of claustrophobic right now. So I don't want this thing to cave in on itself because this is what we have going for us on that side. And then you have his deep ball ability,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Beautiful.
maybe we only have 19 passing attempts, but if
7
like
of
4 of them are
deep
downfield, or at least like 40 plus or something, which I know that he can hit that because he did it in the preseason with Frank Darby.
Yes, I know. They keep saying that, showing that same clip. I put it on him.
I mean, he was one of the best deep ball throwers in college. I think a lot of people forget about that. Even
Yeah,
I
the
think under
best.
pressure, yeah, like under pressure, he was. I think he completed like 45% of his deep ball throws in
Mm.
last year, or like
Not to
45
mention
or 46, something
under
like that.
pressure and
But
when
he's one of the
blitzed,
best.
he's
Mm.
got a touchdown to interception ratio of 28 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Mm.
Oh, I thought it was 3.
No, 1.
Oh, no more 28. No
But
more.
yeah,
All of
yeah.
the all of
We
the
can't.
last
I can't talk about Matt Ryan today. I forgot. Oh, I can't talk about Matt Ryan today.
we're gonna get there. I'm sorry. um
I feel so. Before we get, I just want to say I feel bad for him. But let's continue with Desmond.
Same. Uh, let's take a look here. What else do we have here? We had some other thoughts from Michael. Vlad gave his take. He says, I think Smith is going to lean more on the run game to get rid of into the groove of a live game. Yeah, glad we share the same sentiment there.
I've I just wanted to say this though. With Desmond, I've kind of noticed this a lot last year when he was in college. That first quarter is usually his slump quarter for some reason. He's like, other than like 2 or 3 games, he's never really had just like that. Like he'll start up lighting it up, and that's kind of why I want Desmond. I mean not Desmond, but Arthur to kind of lean on the run game like those first couple of drives, because it takes Desmond. He's not like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen. It takes him a while to get into the groove of things, and I say by like that, like midway second quarter, expect for him to kind of be passing the ball a little bit more when it comes to those intermediate routes and those routes. I don't know about the people saying we're going to take a shot on the first play. I've heard that one before, but we'll see.
Seems like we lost Noah, but I think he'll get back in. You know, I agree with you, Trey. We will see what this first game holds. Like I said, I'm not going out there um, and I'm putting all this pressure on this young quarterback to be miraculous out here, throwing 350 yards, 5 touchdowns, and I'm just not doing that because you know I
But
think that's too much to expect of him. If it
yeah,
happens, cool. If it happens, I mean that's fine. I mean, but at the same time, I just want to see the young man be competent.
I mean when you do that, you kind of setting yourself up to be mad at him, and
Oh yeah,
I don't want to do that.
yeah.
Like for me, I was like, okay, maybe like two, like the max, like 232 touchdowns. The least
Mm-hmm.
amount I said like 182 touchdowns. But like I'm like the comment that earlier, like with the over under 1,000 yards in the like next 4 games, like you have to throw. I don't think
Three.
people understand. You in order to have 1,000 yards per month, you have to at least average like 330 per game, at
Mm-hmm.
least. Like you have to average 300 per game, and right now, I don't expect a rookie quarterback that was picked in the third round to average 300 yards per game. Now, the next 4 games, we're not going up against the best defenses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, New Orleans, I'd say, is like they dropped off a lot. They went from top tier to like mid. I get them like they're top 20, like they're 20th. I'll get them 20th. The Ravens, I'm kind of worried about them. I will say I am kind of worried about them. Um,
Although their
I,
offense, I mean, I get
they
that
suck.
Lamar Jackson's coming back
When?
against us,
Oh, well, that's great.
but even with him included, that offense has been really sputtering.
Yeah, I have
Horrible.
noticed
Like
they've struggled
like
to put
this
up
is
like
not
20
even
points per game.
the only time where they've had like a final score featuring the Ravens of a score of 13-3. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they beat the Panthers, but it
13.
was just barely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, then they couldn't even beat the Browns this night. So I'm like,
I'll give
But
them
I'm,
tonight though because they did have Tyler Huntley starting, so I'll give them that.
mm,
But it's like still, the defense. I'm not worried about. It's the offense. It's kind of like with the Buccaneers. Like, well, actually, no, I'm worried about that whole Buccaneers team in general because they're missing like 7 starters on defense. To like tomorrow, they have 7 starters out, and then of course you have a Tampa Bay offense that has only put up more than 22 points twice this season. Yes, the team that has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Leonard Fournette and the quote unquote GOAT himself is averaging like 18 points per game this year. Sad.
oh yeah, but that was expected.
We did talk about that before the season started. Some told me I was like a 45-year-old quarterback coming out of retirement with no Rob Gronkowski. That don't sound too
Something was gonna happen, and then like Chris Godwin like missed a good chunk of the season too. If I want to say, if I want to remember that correctly.
mm-hmm.
So
You know what?
yeah.
If I could be honest with you, man, on
Hmm?
two things. Um, who everybody thought that when Julio went to Tampa Bay, they was like, "Oh, Tampa Bay about to go Super Bowl." They got
Yeah, like he
Julio,
was ring chasing.
like they was ring chasing, and the thing they forget was Julio is 32, 33 years old now, 30, almost 34. Um,
Yeah,
he's had his time to shine. And when I look at him on the field,
he's like
he
45 in wide receiver years.
yes, in wide receiver years. So it's like you're not getting vintage Julio Jones. Okay, um, don't get me wrong, he can still run routes, he can still do the things that he needs to do, but he is not that game breaker that everybody thought he would be. And then um, the the other thing, the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm being honest, they don't scare me for some reason. I think I just get that same feeling that they did last year. On top of they was on top of the NFL world, and the 49ers whooped them in the first postseason matchup. It's like, what happened? I mean, you play so well during the season, but you get to the playoffs and you sputter. I'm when I seen the game against the Texans, I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on?
The
They literally
Texans
almost, yes,
had the lead.
yeah. And they could have won.
Hmm.
So I'm very skeptical about when people say, oh well, my team got this player or we got these types of players or whatever. I've seen teams with those players, i.e. the 2009 the Philadelphia Eagles that had that super team and didn't do nothing.
As Floyd was saying, saw an article on Google News talking about Brady wants Leftwich gone if he stays with Tampa. If he stays with Tampa, that's the question. I think at the end of this year he becomes a
A free
full-fledged
agent.
free agent, right?
Hmm.
So if he really wants to do that, like how much power are they going to continue to give him?
I don't think he will be back
barely
with
any.
Tampa Bay. I don't think he will be back with Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay with Todd Bowles, if Todd Bowles don't get a raw end of the deal, which is a one and done type of coach season, um, I think um, I think he will be wanting to bring in his own quarterback. I think Brady was only really there because of Bruce Arians.
Yeah,
Pretty much. I mean, it
and
wasn't really
plus because of the
much
state of
other than
Florida.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, that too. But
Mm-mm,
I mean, I never really thought Todd Bowles and him would mix anyway. It I never really saw how that relationship was gonna click at all. And
mm-mm,
they've proven that it wasn't never. I mean, they've proven that it wasn't going to throughout the season. I mean, you can just see the disconnect throughout, like just not throughout those two, but throughout the entire team. It's like they're not together at all. It's not the 2020 or 2021 Bucks this year. It's like the really I say like the 2018-17 Bucks, if I'm being honest.
Mm.
Listen, Tom Brady will be in black and silver come next year.
Raiders, the Raiders.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, I
Josh McDaniels and him back together. I don't know how that's going. I mean, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller,
They're gonna,
Travis
they're gonna,
Hunter,
yes,
Hunter Renfro.
they're gonna resign Josh Jacobs. They're gonna resign Josh Jacobs. Here, mark me while I'm saying this. They're gonna
Can
resign
they,
Josh
even though
Jacobs.
they declined his 5th-year option?
They will. They will. I think in the selling point with Josh Jacobs would be, hey, we're gonna bring in Brady. We know how Brady works. We have his old offensive coordinator here. He has receiving threats, tight end, 2 receivers, running back. They're gonna bring in some offensive line, and I'm telling you, they're gonna spend a lot of draft capital this year in on the defense. Watch.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I,
they do have a nice wide receiver depth too. I cannot lie. I keep forgetting his name, but their number 3 and 4 guys are pretty good.
Yes, but Noah, you saying that, Noah, you looking like that because you looking at what they're looking like now. You like, ugh, really? But
no,
mark me.
no. Hang on, because I am going to speak on behalf of my Raiders fans, or my Raiders friends
Hmm.
that are fans of the Raiders. They would stop supporting the team
You think so?
if Brady joins. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, because of the tuck rule. The tuck.
It's like,
Actually, I forgot about that. Now that you say something about that, because it's like how would they feel about who come? Even if like, because a lot of them are begging for Derek Carr to get like traded or cut, but still, like, how would they feel like you basically swap Derek Carr for Tom Brady, but that's the same Tom Brady that kept y'all from the Super Bowl a couple
and you're
years
getting
ago.
the hand me down Goodwill version of Tom Brady. Like, you're
Yeah,
Mhm.
not getting.
like not the all like the not the Pro Bowl, all pro Tom Brady, the guy that throws for
He's
five
probably
thousand
gonna make the
yards.
Pro Bowl anyways, just off of namesake. But
Mhm.
let's be real.
Mhm.
No one wants to see that old man in the games that they have going on.
Tom Brady is looking like your boy Peyton
Ain't
Manning
it,
was when he retired.
ain't it 7-on-7 this year? Like, didn't they check out the Pro Bowl? It's like 7-on-7 and a whole bunch of like mini games now.
Yeah, it's all games. There's no football game. It's mini games.
Well, thank
Oh,
goodness, because no one cared about the game,
they
especially not
play
the
two hand
players.
touch with pads on. What was the point of that? Like I said, they might as well just play 7-on-7 last year. They play 2 hand touch with pads on.
Hmm.
The mini games were more fun than watching 3 hours of that.
Yeah, it's like if they're not gonna care about that, if they have more enjoyment out of playing the dodgeball game than than the actual game that they're paid to play, kind of let you know something there. So
Yeah, I just
they're making steps towards improving the Pro Bowl at least. So I'll give them that, but I don't know. Like, the players still have to do their part in order to make this like worth watching for us.
yes, yeah,
By the way,
but
the Pro Bowl voting I think has officially stopped either yesterday or something.
hmm
So hope you guys got all your votes in for Cordell Patterson or Grady Jarrett or AJ Terrell or Chris Lindstrom especially. Hope you got all your votes in.
I think those guys won't make the Pro Bowl, but I think those guys, at least Cordell Patterson and Lindstrom will make All Pro.
Yeah, they're probably gonna give AJ another second team All Pro just because.
He got hurt.
But then, like, not looking at like what he's actually done recently. So I just watched this video about Jalen Ramsey this season.
Hmm.
Oh boy, talk about falling off a cliff. No one is afraid to throw to that man.
Oh, I know. That's why Marcus Mariota threw to Brian Edwards when he was on him. And he probably would have caught it if he didn't get pressured. But
It's
Jalen
like,
Ramsey is like falling off of a huge, huge cliff.
You know who Jalen Rams remind me of, and Noah know probably what I'm about to say when I say this. Y'all remember Nazi Osma?
Namdi Asamoah, yeah. Almost the same stature too.
Yep,
Kind of
same
crazy.
stature. 6'1", 6'2" corner, about a 200 and 8 to
210
12.
maybe.
Yep, 210. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oof. But then, like, well, he's Namdi with a voice, with a mouth,
Yes.
and with an ego.
Yes.
Namdi didn't really have all that. He just kind of had to It was a good corner play, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Asante.
Yeah,
it was kind of like
Asante.
him and Asante. So
Yeah,
Asante more had that swagger about him. So
well, Asante was good at baiting you. He will bait you into throwing the ball.
right.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you one thing though. His son, for the Chargers is starting to come into his own. Now I don't think he will never be his father. Don't get me wrong. Do not misquote me when I say that. But I think he will. I think he is coming into his own as a young corner. I don't think he will never be a starting outside corner because of his stature, but as a nickel corner, he is coming into his own.
Yeah, and speaking of outside corners, based off of their fathers, PS2 man, Patrick Surtain.
Oh yes, oh yes,
Whew.
oh yes, and he tackles.
He's gonna take that. Yeah, he's gonna take on that new Jalen Ramsey like status
Mm-hmm.
pretty soon.
Yeah,
If it hasn't already happened yet.
Yeah, I think Jalen did well with Jacksonville when he was in a more of a man coverage defense. He's not a good zone corner defense as you see.
Sure.
So, but the second question you got here is what could we do to finish out the season? That's a good topic right there, Noah. I like that.
Go 4-0.
No, I'm going to be a realistic. I can say 3-1. And one game that I can say that we probably fall victim to is Colt McCoy. Y'all laugh at me when I say that, but we as a Falcons team have been known to let these rinky-dink quarterbacks come in and just look like all pro players.
I'm not laughing at all. As a matter of fact, in the Discord, that's the first thing that I mentioned. It's like, hey, is Kyler Murray out for the year? It's like, yeah. Do we face the Cardinals? Yeah. It's like, oh, well, we shouldn't have a problem then.
No.
I wish I could have that same confidence as you, my friend, but Cole McCoy has shown some things, right? Like,
yes.
Granted that game against the 49ers in Mexico, not even Kyler was going to save that situation. I'm sorry,
no.
but but he has snuck some wins under the belt of for Arizona, especially last year. I work with 49er fans at work, and they are still mad at the win that they had from last year.
I'm not worried about Tampa Bay. I'm not worried about the Saints. I'm not worried about the Baltimore Ravens. The Arizona game is what's making me go, okay, this may turn into an ugly game. Even for Desmond Ritter. I like Arizona's two young linebackers. I like what is his name, number 9, Isaiah Simmons, and I like the other
Collins.
Collins. So I mean, I like those two guys. I'm not the secondary is not one of my biggest concerns. I mean, you got Byron Murphy, you have Buda Baker. Them two linebackers is what bothers me. JJ Watt, okay, fine. He is who he is at this point in his career. I get it. But if anything, even if the Arizona Cardinals offense sputters, their defense is good enough. It hasn't showed all season, but don't get me wrong. Kyler Murray is to play for as a cause for that, some of that too, with all the turnovers and the mistakes that he's making. But that defense, don't get me wrong, they're gonna be amped up to play that game in Atlanta.
Yeah, because they know that they may not be in contention anymore because the 49ers already won the division Thursday. But they can still play spoiler. They can still play with pride,
Yep.
And I remember seeing the like a clip from Hard Knocks because they're focusing on the Cardinals. It's like Buda Baker still cares, and he
said he's tired of losing.
You're going to make sure that the rest of that secondary cares too.
Yep, I seen a preview when he was like, "I'm tired of losing." So
yeah, Trey. I mean, you kind of said 4-0, but do you really want to stand by that?
No, not at all.
Fair enough.
Oh,
I'm
so
1 and
fickle
2, but
faith.
it's like y'all were right about that. Like for some reason, like when we play backup quarterbacks, it always happens. We go from like, okay, yeah, like this is we should win, like we should win this game, and then we'll end up looking like the Bucks when they played Brock Purdy. We're like, isn't like, aren't we supposed to at least win this game by 2 touchdowns, and then they end up throwing for like 300 yards and having some game winning field goal or something? And it's kind of like this season, like that 49ers game. A lot of people said we weren't supposed to win that game. We ended up winning it. And then the Panthers game on Thursday night, like 60% of people picked us to win. Then we laid a massive egg.
And we
So it's
got
like
blowed out.
we got basically got blowed out. And it was like, dude, like what are we doing? Like it's PJ Walker. Especially that first Panthers game, I was like, "Wow,
It,
in
wa-
Jesus'
well,
name is Pat
well, that was more so
PJ
Deontay
Walker
Foreman.
putting up 300
Yes,
yards."
Deontay Foreman, and he's beasted us both games.
Hmm.
That man put up 330 yards rushing combined on us in 2 games. He hasn't had that much in the past 4 games.
I'm gonna tell
I
you,
think he barely hit. No, my bad. No, he just hit 350 last week on last week's game.
Hmm.
I think
Last 2 weeks.
if I can be honest, Noah, and I'll lead this right here. 'Cause I know you want to keep go on. I think if I'm being honest, I think this is Ryan's Pace only shot at being on the Falcons. I think there was a I think there was a 1 year tryout for Ryan Pace to help Terry Fontenot understand some of the ins and outs of being a GM. Yes, he's been under the tutelage of the Saints GM Mickey Loomis for quite some time, but I think this was a equal type of responsibility with somebody who's already done it, such as Ryan Pace. Was Ryan Pace good at it? No, but he had some qualities that someone liked, that they felt that okay, we can bring this guy in and have him teach side by side with the same responsibilities. I think next year will be Terry Fontenot's first year doing this by himself, and I think he's going to make an immediate impact from the things that he has learned.
Yeah, because like Terry has stayed true to what he said about, hey, we're gonna make sure that this roster moves every week. Right,
Mm-hmm.
we're always gonna take action and making sure that we have the best 53
Mm-hmm.
in order to win the games. And sometimes it's not going to be as equally clear for people
Mm-hmm.
for his signings and his other acquisitions and his contract moves and decisions like that. So, sure, I could see where he would end up having someone like Orion Pace to come over and at
Mm-hmm.
least hear a second opinion on what he should do. I
Yes.
don't know like how much influence that he has over Terry,
Mm-hmm.
but any amount, whether it be hurtful or beneficial, is noted and will be at a loss. Uh, whenever that departure happens. So, ugh, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my outlook on this and how we close this out, would 3-1 be good enough for a playoff spot?
Yes,
With
I say
what
yes.
I just read earlier, so if we go 4-0, it's like an 87% chance we made the playoffs. At 3-1, it goes all the way down to 26. And I'm guessing that's if we lose either that Bucks or that Saints game.
Yeah, because the
That's what it's
divisional
kind of
wins
like.
are what we
Because
really need.
if we lose a game, we're basically counting on the Panthers to beat the Bucks week 17 in order for us to at least have basically a win or go home type thing. Um,
But
basically a
then
playoff game
that
for any
jumps
team.
them ahead of us still because they have more division wins.
True. That's why we kind of have to win these next 2 games and hope the Panthers lose their next 2 division games so we can both
Oh, Trey,
Tied
you
at
went out.
3-3 because they're 3.
Okay.
I think, and we desperately them to lose at least 3 games.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're gonna have like good enough of a play on both phases of the game. Well, all three, but it's like I haven't worried too much about the special teams. A kick here and there, or a punt here and there, sure, but overall, it's not my biggest concern. So it's really just like the last two phases of the game, offense and defense. And like we said, like if we're still like this late in the season, we're still worried about Colt McCoy. What does that got to say about our coaches, really? Because we see talent here, right? We see talent on different levels of the game. We see talent that can emerge, that can blossom into like legit stars. But for whatever reason, we're not getting the Dean Pease that I've been trying to advertise for so long. And I think that this next year, if he's still with us, Arthur Smith as well. It's like, all right, guys, this is your last chance for me. I have to determine something here.
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna be honest with
Because
you. I don't think Terry's gonna go though. If I'm being honest with you, though,
no,
Noah,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think.
he needs to go.
Mm-mm.
I don't like, even though that Arthur is the first person to be hired, I think that he is still like out between him and Terry. I think he's the quickest one to go because Terry's done more as far as just getting us out of a hole in ways that still baffle me. All right. And then you look in comparison to how we're set up uh, as far as everyone else is in our division. Like the Bucks and Saints, they are at least at negative $40 million in salary cap space next year. At least. The team in third place is at negative 14 million. Like those two teams are far and away in the worst situation possible. And we just talked about their free agents. One of them on the Bucks being Tom Brady, and there's a couple more that are starters. And same goes for the Saints as well that we are about to face. So, oh yeah, by the way, they don't even have a first round pick.
Nope. It's to the Eagles.
So they can't even try to tank.
And they're
And whatever Trey just said,
negative
they don't even have two
5 million.
quarterbacks.
They couldn't take it. I don't know why they did that trade last year, knowing Jesus will.
Hey Trey, you keep going out, man. I don't know if you got. I
I
don't know if you driving through a bad area, but you keep going in and out.
I
Yep,
keep
I am.
worrying it and see if it's mine. Let's see if it's my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, driving through a little dead zone here.
Oh, okay.
We got Wallace. He says we need to win these last 4 games to have a chance to win this division. I completely agree. But he's also says like I don't see Arthur Smith going anywhere anytime soon. Now, obviously, this is just us speaking about our patience level, right?
Yeah, we're not clamoring for the guy's job. Now, don't do that.
No.
No, we're not doing that.
Just know that even people like me, like even we have a limit to our patience. Not that we're running out of it, but it's just that we have a limit to it. And I think that 3 years for a coach is a good enough of a sample size to determine whether or not you need to stay. Now, has he been an awful coach? Absolutely not. You look at some of the previous examples in this season, last season, like no. He is not even close to being the worst coach.
He's nowhere near Nathaniel Hackett. Let's just say that he's like miles way better than Nathaniel Hackett.
Exactly. But
wins cures all.
Exactly. And how many of these coaches are actually in this NFL where it's like, yeah, like I need a guy like him. I could maybe think of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Hey, the Falcons mess around and bring back Dan Quinn for the head coach. Keep on.
Oh God.
I'll stop being a fan at that point.
My brain didn't even want to think about it. I just instinctively said that.
I want Arthur Blank to just sell the team at that point. At that point, just sell the team, bro. Just sell it.
It's like,
Go
hey, I
home.
saw how good of a job you did at Dallas. How about you come back over? Yeah,
No, he's an excellent coordinator. He need to say a coordinator. He's an excellent coordinator.
Now, see, yeah, if we brought him back as a coordinator, I wouldn't be mad about that one. He's a great defensive coordinator. When you say head coach, I have nightmares. I have flashbacks. How he blew a birthday on a Super Bowl on my birthday, but
Trey is
it's
forever scorned.
ruined my senior year. Beyond that
Oh,
point,
jeez.
but yeah, Wallace wanted to say, well, one of the problems that we had, quote unquote, quit on us, and I think Ritter is going to be as our quarterback moving forward. I think that has to be the case, mostly for the fact that Mariota is already out for the season. Like, he can't really do a whole lot, even if he wanted
plus
to.
you
Which
can
I know that he wants to because Desmond told us.
like I said, you can't give a quarterback 4 games to audition. If that was the case, nearly all of the top 10 quarterbacks that are in the league right now will probably be either named as a bust or in the XFL. Let's just say that. If you clamor Josh Allen for the first 4 games, Josh Allen would be on a practice squad right now.
Yep. Yep.
Heck,
And
Jalen Hurts.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
it hurts.
I looked at it too. Yeah, I told myself, I said, the Falcons went after Deshaun Jackson, Deshaun Watson, right? And whatever the man is going through in his life, whatever he is facing, whatever trials and tribulations he's going through, that between him and God, I don't have no dog in that fight, okay? But the Falcons let you know that, hey, we're gonna go after who we feel is the best player, right? The best player to make sure we put our team in the best position that we have. You know, don't think that picking up Woodside from to back up to back up Ritter was just something they put out of thin air because you could tell by what Arthur Smith is saying. You can read between the lines. Oh, that's Ritter getting there and funk it up, throwing 5 interceptions and stuff like that in a game. I will put Woodside in. I have familiarity with the kid. So
Mm-hmm.
don't get it twisted. I won't let Desmond get in there because I feel like he's our end all be all.
Yeah, what I
So
was alluding to earlier, like he's got a collar on his neck. I
mhm,
just don't know how long the leash is.
yes. What do you feel about Jordan Love, Noah, if he gets traded?
Oh, that the Packers will make a mistake moving forward.
Just don't
Yeah.
bring him over here.
Well, you want to bring up Jordan Love. That I can at least understand.
hmm
What other people have been talking about is Lamar Jackson.
Nah, I don't. I can see Jordan Love over Lamar Jackson being of bringing in a cheaper quarterback. Um, Someone who's looks like he's familiar with our scheme, like I seen at Utah when he was at Utah. He seemed to play
Mm-hmm.
some of the similar scheme. I think he has some good mechanics. I think he learned from an excellent quarterback such as Aaron Rodgers, who's looking really pitiful this year, like really pitiful this year. Um, but I think Jordan has picked up some good skills, quality skills from Aaron Rodgers to make him a competent and a competitive quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, when you win back-to-back MVPs,
hmm
something's going right there. So yeah,
So
learning behind that, sure, but also know that Aaron Rodgers is also not going to do this forever.
yes, true
And like
enough.
we're talking about this pitiful season of his, and if they really want to start improving,
Jordan Love to
I'm
me.
not saying you bench this guy, but I'm saying like, could you work out another deal with Aaron?
hmm
Could you kind of send them back into that front office and be like, hey, what happened?
Yes. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
I mean,
That's a valid
because
question.
we
you
know
can't
this
say
is
he had
a
a
what
rookie
have you
route.
done for me lately league, right? And
Yes.
this is the case every single year.
Yes. Because what are they?
We're
They're
just
four and
heartless
nine
about
right
it.
now. They're 4-9 or 3-9 or 3-10 or something like that.
They might have the same record as us.
I think they're five. They're 5-8. They're five and
Okay.
eight. The thing is, though, can you say that he did basically have a rookie route receiving core all season?
But listen. I, I'm not quick to say that. I'm gonna tell you why I'm not quick to say that because we don't give that same type of energy to other quarterbacks.
Matt Ryan.
Okay. We Matt Ryan had those wide receivers or whatever. Nobody was like, oh well, you're the quarterback. You're supposed to be able to bring those players along. And then when it's Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, we want to say, oh well, he didn't have the weapons.
Yeah, I was tuning into the game earlier today, and I was like, I remember Pittman. Who did he just throw to? Who's this guy?
Alec
I
Pierce
remember
ain't
Mo
even
Alley
been so
Cox,
off
and I
board.
remember Jelani Woods. Who's he handing out the ball to? Zach Moss?
Okay,
What?
no, Noah, just go to the next question because we about to dive in this one.
That's last thing. Wallace is also saying we're not getting Lamar because he's gonna want a lot of he's gonna want a lot of money with his full guaranteed contract, and Lamar's becoming injury prone right now. Those are valid questions, and I don't think any single Falcons fan other than the three of us will understand you,
Hmm.
judging from what I've seen on social media. But
Yes.
yeah, let's kind of go back to that last game, all right?
Oh
I,
goodness. It was up 33-0. 33-0. I don't understand it, man. You put if any other team put up 33 points, they have at least a 99.9% chance of winning. 33-0. Oh man, that's hurtful, bro. Mm, mm,
with
mm,
8 minutes left in the third quarter, by the way, too.
Oh, it sounds so familiar, man.
Now,
Mm.
I have to bring this up because of the one constant, right?
It's Matt Ryan.
As far as a player,
Hmm.
sure. But as far as the one constant, that team was way over its head. That Colts team as a whole unit was punching way above its weight grade.
It is.
Like we had the pick six, we had the block punt, we had all these other freak incidents that happened early on for them. That's like it seemed everything was starting to go their way, and it's like almost too good to be true. And then it eventually was because once they actually had to start getting down the field, once they actually had to start making stops, they couldn't do it, right? And I think that goes down to what we were talking about earlier. But like, we're concerned about Arthur Smith. I think the coach should be concerned about whoever their coach is going to be for the future because
Yes.
Jeff
Because Jeff
Saturday,
Saturday, it ain't it.
he's just not experienced there. Like, and I don't think that you would want to wait that a long of amount of time in order for him to figure it out. When you have other opportunities, when you have other people that have worked their tail off as coordinators
Hmm.
for
Let's
so
just say
long,
he just blew a
and
33-point lead in 30 minutes. 30
Not
minutes.
even. Not even 30. Not
Really
it
like
was 23
22.
minutes.
Yeah, like 20. He just blew a 33-point lead. And really 36-7 in 20 minutes. Now I understand 20 minutes in game time and real time is very different, but still, Jesus Christ. You blew a look, I understand people say 28-3. It was 28-9 with 15 minutes left to go. They still
The
had to
Colts
put up
got
an
that
extra
title now.
25.
The Colts got that title now. They can have
They
that
yeah.
title.
You blew a 33-point lead in 22 minutes?
now again, right? Like Jeff Saturday, he's not completely fit there. Uh, whoever he's been having call plays for them on offense is not
Please
there
fire
yet.
them. Fire them. Fire them completely. Fire them. I mean, I can't. I say that because one, they are like so lethargic in the run and pass game. I kind of blame a little bit of that on the chemistry with Alec Pierce and Matt Ryan. Like just the wide receiver core in general seems so off site with Matt Ryan. but they seem so bland. Like that 2019 them was so like energetic. Like it was so much like not chemistry. Well, yeah, chemistry too. But it was like a lot of trick plays, a lot of like, just they thought about the plays a lot.
Yeah,
Now it's
Frank
just like,
Reich was
well,
very bold.
yeah. Now it's just like, well, we're gonna do a jet sweep here. We're gonna do a little 22 dive here, and hey Matt, get like a 50
we're
yard play for us right quick.
we're
All right.
we're basically choosing plays from the Madden 2005 playbook on easy mode.
Yeah. Basically, they're the he went from being one of the best play callers to being dirt cutter in like a season. He does. We're gonna run a dive right here with our very smart. That's how Naeem Hines got hurt. We're gonna run a dive up the middle with Naeem Hines instead of running, stretches and between the tackles with Jonathan Taylor. We're gonna run him up the middle too, even though that's not what he's good at. And
Yeah,
well, what are we gonna do with our wide receivers? Oh, make them run curls and drag routes all day. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And then hope.
that's when you know that as a coach, you don't know the talent that you're dealing with.
Or you just give.
And that's why I keep going back to the coaches. It's like, you want to talk about inexperience? This is the textbook definition of inexperienced.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like just all of them. Just all of it over there, right? The the talent just can't overcome those problems.
Mm-hmm.
And we have talent over there as well, right? Like last year they had the most Pro Bowlers out of any other roster in the NFL. They have something there. And then they brought in more Pro Bowlers during the offseason. And then they added more people there in order to compensate any other weaknesses that they saw. But then they just got to points where the roster had to go through growing pains and the owner was running out of patience. And so they made the irrational decision to, all right, get this guy out of here, bench Matt Ryan, and we're just gonna put him on the injury list. We're gonna have these statements saying that he's gonna need shoulder surgery, that he's gonna be done for the year, and that we're gonna be starting Sam Ellinger. And then they realize it's like,
But that's not gonna work.
like a drunken hangover. Like, what are we thinking? And so, I think still in the drunken stupor, they were like, all right, well, we need to get a coach, right? Who?
Jeff Saturday. Good Jeff.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Has he coached something before?
Nope, he's
high
been a
school?
TV analyst all his life.
It's football, right? That's close enough. Yeah.
All right,
have him over here lead this group of men.
All right, now
and think about it too, guys. Just real quick, the Bills and the Miami Dolphins are tied up 29-29. The Bills are in the red zone right now.
Dang it, Dolphins! I support you too. I support you, Jalen. Even Tyreek. Even though I hate you, I support you. Don't sell me. Well, I can't say they sold me because they put up 20. Defense, do something. You sorry.
It's 39 seconds left.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
They sound like the like Jeff Saturday today. Like some tells me they went into that locker room. It was like, guys, look, I know we were like so aggressive in that first half. We don't want to be too mean, okay? We don't want to be too mean, okay? We're at home. It's a whole bunch of kids watching. So look, we're gonna run 22 dives and 23 dives and screens on 3rd and 5, okay? And see if it works. All right?
Okay.
Right. Hey, blow the lead on 3. 1, 2, 3, blow the lead. Let's make history, folks. And then you go on to blow a 22-point lead. But they went into the fourth quarter. It was 36-14. You throw, so it's let me just say this real quick. Okay. So it's 36-14 entering the fourth. It takes the Vikings 3 minutes to drive downfield. So then it's 36-22. They stop you. You get a pick.
Lost him again.
Be aggressive. This is what we talked about last year. Be aggressive. And you be passive. And you run slants and curls and run the ball 3 straight times. So then you end up punting. That's just giving the fans in the stadium more and more. And then your defense, one drive later, they score again. One drive later, let's Dalvin Cook go on a 76-yard screen to the house? Are you serious?
I saw that one corner that was like running at his left side.
And
He had the
missed.
perfect angle, but then had the worst tackle to follow up with it.
Why did he jump? That's what I'm trying to. Why did he jump head first, looking down? What the?
You know,
What are you gonna look at?
it almost reminded me of the. It was when Phillip Rivers was their quarterback. I think it was like an interception, and then some defender like was trying to like juke him, and so Phillip like fell down, but then like kicked up his hind. Why did I say hind legs? He kicked up his legs, and just tried to.
That was the year he retired too, I think, or the year
Yeah.
before. That was like Jesus. That was embarrassing. I was like, okay, I'm like, dude, like he.
But then then you have an actual professional quarterback try to do the same method almost.
Yeah. But he was like, he's running. Like I seen him out the corner, and I was like, okay, he gonna hawk him down. And all of a sudden, instead of making contact with him, you dive for the air. Devin Cook didn't even stop.
Then you had like the whole 4th and 1 decision. Then you had at the very end of the game, like we're talking like almost at the end of overtime, you had that the Justin Jefferson screen pass, and then I wonder if it was like Okiriki, but like the linebacker just kind of like laid on top of Jefferson and just like wouldn't let him go. But that is a strategy that you're taught, right? In that situation, in order to kind of bleed out as much clock as you possibly can, because they didn't have a timeout. You can't make it obvious.
What he did, he made it so obvious that he literally held on to him. He
literally
held him to the ground like this, like
Jefferson let go of the ball. Hawkinson tried to pick it up, and then the other linebacker tried to get on top of him and be like, "No, you can't go anywhere." It's like, "Oh, that was an accident, ref. I'm sorry."
He was winning.
Meanwhile, you got to remember that the game cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Cannot.
So there's always going to be one more untimed down, even if you did bleed out the clock. That's still going to be a penalty. So it's like, those are all coaching decisions right there. You can't teach your folks to tackle. You can't teach your folks in situational football and then to make just one more play. You can't teach your guys to do end of game situations. So what are you there for?
To be there.
It's like, I know that the defense can only do so much because they've been on the field for so long, right? And I remember it was the commentator, Nate Burleson. He was a color commentator, and he was talking about how once you get into overtime, it's like an extended workout. And in overtime, when you get late into the battle, this football game becomes less physical and more mental.
Like what? What am I going to do to take this game? Basically, that's what
the Colts early on, when they were in the overtime games, they were 1-0-1, which means that they had a tie at the very first game of the season. That was the starting point. But then they had their overtime game against the Chiefs. They knew how to handle business at that game, even though that almost lasted the same amount of time. Now they can't do it. Now they can't get it done
because they suck.
So. Yeah, it's like I understand what you're saying, Wallace. It's like I'm not blaming all that on the offense, because the offense, they had one job to do, and that was to just start moving down the field and just taking time off the clock. They couldn't do it because of the play calls.
Yep.
And in the defense, they were on the field for so long
I think they were on the field for like
they were just so fatigued.
I think they were on the field for like 23 minutes that second half. It was like 23-7. That's
what they say.
That's how long.
And like they say, history repeats itself, right? They say history repeats itself. Look what happened. They had the same thing happen to them at Dallas when they lost 54 to 19 or something like that.
I don't know what in Jesus' name happened. Like I was like, so I was playing again. It was
interception. Yeah, it was
17 when the fourth quarter started, and all of a sudden I look back like 10 minutes later, it's 47-7. I'm like, what in the well, that's like, I don't know how you do that. You go into a quarter, right? That was also the most points.
You just have to close out the game. You just have to make sure that the game just stops happening. Because you were hemorrhaging points.
and you let 33 points get put up on you in 15 minutes?
Yes, man. Like I said, history repeats itself. It happened today. I can tell you right now, Noah, and here, mark my word right now. I don't clamor for anybody's job. I don't clamor for anybody's how they make their money and how they feed their family, right? But this is one of those things that you see it every time in history. This is the point where Matt Ryan got to say, you know what? Can I continue to do this, or do I need to retire?
Hey boy, you done made $340 million, bro. You straight. And you still on that washing powder commercials too, bro. You straight. Hey, bro,
Or the Tide.
you're Gucci. You're
Because
straight, bro.
yes, because at
Stay
this
on
juncture,
line.
you're staining your legacy.
I mean,
This man
everyone already sees you
he's
as a
got
as a
this
stat
game
pattern.
as he's like still like having commercials alongside Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, dude, like you're there.
Yep,
Bro, no, you're
yep.
more than there, bro. You're like you're at that point to where it's like, bro, like look, I've made I've made 300, I mean, yeah, about $300 million in 15 years. I'm in top 5 passing all time. I'm in top 10 passing touchdowns all time. I'm top 10 in basically nearly every quarterback stat all time. You've made Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl, you've made All Pro after All Pro, and you've made it to a Super Bowl and have also won a couple of playoff games.
As the
Bruh.
MVP too.
And you're an MVP, bro. You're straight. Please just end it. Just look. I love you, Matt. I love you. Go ahead and say cut me. Okay. I don't care what you do. Cut me. Come back to the Falcons on a one day contract and retire as a Falcon, bro. Because you can, Jarvis, like you just said, Jarvis, you're standing your legacy at this point, man. Everyone
Yeah, your
already
career
sees
is
you
going
as
to be thought of a bit more fondly.
everyone already sees you as an overrated stat pattern, or at least a lot of people do. You don't need them to see you blow a 33-point lead on national television. If this is on a Sunday with a whole bunch of other games going on and people weren't really paying attention, then I say yeah. I mean, they blew it, but they weren't on national TV. You were on a national television game, man.
No, the Dallas game
Everyone
was on
saw
that.
that,
The Dallas game was on a
Yeah, that
national
was on Sunday
television.
night too.
and
That was
that was
Sunday
on
night,
national. Oh,
and the part was you threw 3 interceptions in a span of 15 minutes back to back, and then a couple more plays when you got the ball, and then throw another one.
It was the same dude too.
Yes. So it's like, bro, what like Matt, you are a 15-year vet, 15, 16-year-old year vet. You know you can't, you're not supposed to make that throw. You know if they're blitzing from the right side, you know you should know Dan Quinn's defense. You played it, you I mean, yes, over the years he's learned to change up his defense and not be so stubborn and stay in cover three. But you know some of his
Finally,
you know some of his tendencies. So and you're gonna throw. You know, if the corner is blitzing, the safety is dropping to cover where the corner just blitzed from. You know that, and you still threw the ball right there.
at that point, I
and
think he's just like, screw it. Hey, this ain't affecting me at all. I'm still making my money. I think that's how he's viewing it at this point.
again, it's like he's still uh is in the mindset that there's not a throw that he can't make.
Yes.
At that, bro, your arm struck. I'm sorry. I love you, Matt. You're one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. But that arm got struck. It's you can just tell, man. It's like he's so timid in the pocket, and he's so like he looks nervous back there, and then you can tell just off the arm strength and the zip on that ball. But like, bro, like it's time.
But I
I
know
know
why
it's
he's
hard
nervous.
for
I,
a lot of quarterbacks, but it's time.
I know
It's
why he's
time.
nervous. He's having flashback. Listen, this dude is still getting blasted in the pocket from a lot of sacks.
Because of this trench warfare that he's finding himself in.
He's been in a trench warfare since the 2011 season. He hasn't. Let's be honest. He's name one O line in the past four, or at least in the past 14 years when he was with us, that you could say confidently that they would protect him in the pass game.
Tyson Clabo and Harvey Dahl. That's about it.
And
Yeah,
like 2012 season.
yeah, that's about it.
And that's when Peter Kunz came in. Lord knows, please, we shouldn't be saying that name. That's like cursing.
2000. So one season out of 14 years, And the man's been in the last 4 years he was with us. He got sacked over 40 times each time.
It
And
was
then
one
this
season he got
year,
sacked 60 times, right? One season he got sacked almost 60 times.
I think that was 2015 where he got sacked like 52 times. Yeah, that was. And then this year, he nearly touched that mark in the first 9 weeks. He's been sacked like 37 times this year.
It's time to
Yeah,
hang it
and
up, man.
Yeah,
at least
it's
in the early stages of his career, he still had some sort of agility in order to kind of like
move out the way. Now, bro,
yeah.
you're 37. Things don't heal the same. I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see that injury that made Drew Brees retire, man. Because Lord knows, man, he is. I don't know him personally, but the way people talk about him and the way his teammates are talked about, bro, he just seems like one of the chillest, coolest people you can hang around with,
Genuine,
and
very
like a
genuine.
good competitor and a
Hmm.
good. I just then you got a whole fam at the house too, bro. I don't want to see you have that injury. Like that's just like that makes you hang it up. I want to see you hang it up because you wanted to, not because you're forced to.
He's very
Mhm.
genuine, and Noah knows. I know Noah's not a 49ers fan, but being in that area and knowing some Niners fans, look what happened to Jeff Garcia at towards the end of his career. You don't want
Ugh.
that,
Ugh.
okay? You
Don't want to.
you don't want that to
Mm-mm.
happen to Matt Ryan.
You don't want Brown's Jeff Garcia. No. No.
You do not want Jeff Garcia, man. And some people, everybody's chasing Tom Brady. Stop chasing Brady. Stop chasing Brady.
Ain't nobody gonna catch that man. Ain't no look. There is only one quarterback that's gonna put up 460 plus touchdowns in his career, 7 Super Bowls, MVP. I mean, Pro Bowler nearly every year, All Pro nearly every year. You got to stop at this point, man. You got to every quarterback is not gonna play until they're 40. No quarterback is gonna start until they're 45. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks now. How long do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to throw 67 yards off his back foot? Let's be honest. We've seen Russell Wilson do that in his 20s. You see how shot his arm is right now.
Yeah, he was like the one of the best deep throws I've ever seen.
Hmm. On
Now he can
point.
barely.
Not on,
Now he
not
can throw.
on point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now he can barely throw a
just
40, a
moon
20, a
balls,
30.
and
Hmm.
it just
Now,
falls right into
In
the
stride.
chest
In stride.
pocket of a
Hmm.
5'9" receiver.
No issue.
now he can barely throw a 30-yarder to Cortland Sutton. Man, it's like, dude, it's when I tell you I'm surprised Tom has made it this far. I mean, and we're seeing what's happening to Tom now. Tom is regressing like if you were on Madden and you thought he was gonna if his overall was a thing, he went from 97 last year to an 80 this year.
Hmm.
Dude, I don't know how the Manning rating is. I'd give him 0 speed.
No, for me, the max he's getting is 45. He's getting old lineman. Old lineman speed is like 40, 45 when he's getting 45. Because that man
No,
is a we thought he
no,
was a
no.
statue. We thought
Nah,
he was a
nah.
statue in his
I'm giving
career
him
last
kicker
year.
speed.
Yeah, yeah, he
Oh,
can get that speed.
Younghoe Koo speed is like 55 in Madden. It's
Let me,
like
let me
55, 56.
let me tell you, man. It's right now the NFL is Noah said it earlier. It's a what can you do for me, right? What have you done for me lately type of league, right? Performance. It's a performance based league. Right now,
Mhm.
critics, analysts, and all the national media, whomever they may be, who cares, right? They are already dubbing Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow as Patrick Mahomes the new Tom Brady, and Joe Burrow is the new Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
They have forgotten about Josh Allen because of how they've been struggling this year. Like Noah said earlier, this is a what have you done for me lately type of league, right? So
Mhm.
now that the Bengals are starting to get on the roll and starting to win and so forth, it's like okay, well we already know the Chiefs are doing well, so let's stay with the Chiefs. And oh, here go the Bengals. They're coming back with it. We still like Josh Allen, but we notice his team is still, his team is struggling. So we're not gonna. It is what it is. It's what's hot right
Yeah,
now. We
we
are a
got
microwave.
Tua. Jalen Hurts still too. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be in the conversation
Mm-hmm.
if everything stays consistent on track for them. Um, Justin Herbert could
Yep.
always make an appearance on occasion,
Mm-hmm.
although for whatever reason, I don't know why, but he just can't seem to get a winning record in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, he had a winning record last year, but that's not to say that like if you add all of his games up in total, they
Mm-hmm.
still don't they still don't amass over 500.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happens. Like,
I don't. You have receiver threats. I mean, you got an excellent running back. I mean, so I don't know how most of this happened. You know, like I said, man, it's just some quarterbacks don't have that it factor. You ever remember when we was young, you always hear people say, "Oh man, you got that it factor." Some quarterbacks may have talent, but they don't have that it factor.
it's gonna it would separate like the Tony Romo's from the prime Brett Favre.
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
a scramble out of the pocket gunslinger type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just
Like
ugh.
the Green Bay Packers won that Super Bowl despite Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers is a great season, season quarterback, in season quarterback. When it comes to playoffs, you like what in the world? For the last couple of years, it's been first round bounce.
I don't understand it either. Because I
So,
think like, ever since that moment, right, like he's had a losing record in the playoffs.
hmm hmm
Sheesh.
but but when Matt Ryan had a losing record in the playoff, boy, they tried to bury Matt Ryan.
Yeah, they said that he's never going to win one because he hasn't won one yet.
Hmm
It's like,
Or now you get the thing now. Well, the reason they got the Super Bowl was because of Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if we're gonna be honest before we shut this down, Aaron Rodgers in the past four NFC championships he's been in has gotten either blown out or no, he I don't even count that Bucks game because they could have won that if he used his legs on that one play, but he got blown. We beat him senseless. The 49ers beat him senseless.
hmm
The Bucks beat him senseless.
we
And the
beat him
49ers
senseless.
and then the
hmm
49ers a year later ended up beating him senseless.
hmm
So I'm pretty sure it's nearly that time for a lot of guys to start thinking about staying at home and not going to practice. But
I
yeah,
don't even know what home he's going home to anymore, given
hmm
his off the field lifestyle. But yeah, we're gonna close this out. We're gonna stay tuned to tomorrow's game. Whew.
that's
All
Yeah,
right,
good,
man.
man.
I got to get some sleep because I got military duties in the morning again. So,
Yeah, I'll let
I
you
got
get to that then. Trey, I'll let you get to your
hair
family
appointment.
and whatnot. That too.
Yeah. About to go
And
get my tooth
I
started
will
tomorrow.
get on to doing some more research and trying to get some more videos and streams in the works for you guys. So
Bet.
don't worry. I actually was just testing out something before we started the stream about how I can kind of get my phone and I don't know if you saw this, but my new green screen that I got.
hmm
I've been trying to do something with that, but from whatever reason, my phone doesn't recognize it yet. So I'm gonna either invest in a camera or, jeez, yeah. There's a lot that I still need to process and think about, but we'll save that for future news
Later.
Okay.
problem.
Well, peace and blessings to you, brother. I appreciate you allowing me to come on tonight. And we definitely will talk some more in the future.
Absolutely.
Hmm
All right, guys. That's gonna do it for us.
All right, team. Take care.
Catch y'all later, man.
Mhm.
All right.